What happens when your boss fires you for disloyalty and then finds out you were secretly talking to their biggest client? Well, let's just say some conversations change everything. This is the story of how getting fired became the best business decision I never made. 6 years. That's how long I'd been at Emberline Digital in Seattle. 6 years of climbing from admin assistant to lead strategist. 6 years of believing hard work would pay off. I still remember my first day nervous as hell organizing Claire Hensley's calendar and wondering if I'd ever amount to anything more. Claire was our VP then, and she still is now. Sharp suits, sharper tongue, and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. But I had a plan. I wasn't going to stay behind that reception desk forever. By year 2, I was managing small accounts. By year 4, I was pulling in serious revenue. And then came Ether Biotech. God, I love that account. A cutting-edge biotech company that needed someone who understood their vision. Their CMO, Nina Shore, was brilliant, but overwhelmed. She needed a marketing partner who could think 3 steps ahead. That's where I came in. I spent months crafting their brand strategy. Late nights, weekend calls, strategy sessions that felt more like conversations with a friend. We launched campaigns that didn't just meet targets, they obliterated them. 18 million in revenue. That's what I brought to Emberline through Ether alone. $18 million. And my salary, still the same as when I started managing accounts 3 years ago. Marcus Patel knew. Marcus was our copy strategist, this quiet genius who could turn a product description into poetry. We'd grab coffee most mornings, and he'd watch me check my bank account with that look. You know the one. The look that says, you deserve better, but we both know you're not going anywhere. Jenna, you've asked for a raise 6 times, he'd say, stirring his latte. 6 documented requests in 3 years. He was right. I had the emails to prove it. Professional, polite requests, backed by performance metrics that would make any CEO salivate. Claire's response was always the same. Next quarter, Jenna. The budget's tight right now, but next quarter looks promising. Next quarter never came. Instead, Claire got a corner office renovation. Marble countertops, those expensive Scandinavian chairs, a coffee machine that cost more than most people's rent. The company Christmas party got bigger every year. The executive bonuses kept flowing, but my salary frozen in time like some corporate artifact. I stayed because I loved my team. I stayed because Ether trusted me. I stayed because leaving felt like abandoning something I'd built with my own hands. That loyalty almost killed my career. Last month, everything changed. Ether was so happy with our work, they doubled their contract. Doubled it. We're talking about a deal that would set Emberline up for the next 2 years. The campaign was mine. Every strategy meeting, every creative brief, every late-night revision. I knew every pixel of that presentation by heart. Board meeting day came around. I wasn't invited, of course. Mid-level staff never were. But I waited in my cubicle checking my phone every few minutes, wondering if this would finally be my moment. Marcus found me first. His face told me everything I needed to know. She presented your campaign, he said quietly. Every slide, every strategy, every brilliant insight you spent months developing. My stomach dropped. She told the board it was her innovative approach to biotech marketing, her relationship-building skills, her strategic vision. Claire had stood in that boardroom and stolen 18 months of my life. Worse than that, she'd made it look effortless, like it was always hers to begin with. The board ate it up. Of course they did. Claire Hensley, the visionary VP who single-handedly secured their biggest contract renewal. I sat in my cubicle that afternoon staring at my computer screen, and something inside me finally broke. Not shattered, broke, like a dam giving way after holding back pressure for too long. Marcus brought me another coffee. What are you thinking? I closed my laptop and looked at him. Really looked at him. This brilliant guy who'd been watching me get stepped on for 3 years, who'd been the only person to witness my quiet humiliation. I'm thinking loyalty is a two-way street, I said, and I've been walking it alone for way too long. That night, I updated my resume for the first time in 6 years. Job hunting when you're employed is like cheating on a diet. You know you should do it, but every click on LinkedIn feels like betrayal. Marcus was my accountability partner. Every morning, coffee became a strategy session. Did you apply to that agency in Belltown? He'd ask, scrolling through his phone. Synapse Collective. Yeah, sent my portfolio yesterday. Good. What about the nonprofit sector? You always said you wanted to do something meaningful. I love that he said when, not if. Like my leaving was inevitable and we were just managing the timeline. Within 2 weeks, Synapse Collective called. They were this rising agency, the kind of place where creativity actually mattered more than politics. The phone interview went so well they wanted me in person the next day. I called in sick. First time in 3 years. The Synapse office was everything Emberline wasn't. Open, collaborative, actual plants that weren't dying. Their creative director, Tom Rodriguez, walked me through campaigns that made my heart race. This was marketing with a soul. We've been following your work with Ether, Tom said. That Q3 campaign, brilliant. We could use someone with your strategic mind. For 90 minutes, I felt like myself again. Not the version of me that asked permission to innovate, but the version that just did it. They offered me the job before I left the building. I should have been thrilled. Instead, I felt terrified. 6 years is a long time to be anywhere. Emberline might have been suffocating me, but it was familiar suffocation. Marcus found me that evening staring at my laptop in the break room. How'd it go? They offered me the position, senior strategist, 30% salary bump. That's amazing, Jenna. Why do you look like someone died? I closed the laptop. What if I'm making a mistake? What if I'm not as good as I think I am? What if everything I've built here just disappears? Marcus sat down across from me. You know what? I think you're scared of finding out how talented you really are. That night, we stayed late. Not working on Emberline projects, but sketching out something crazy. What if we didn't just find new jobs? What if we created our own Brooks and Patel strategies? Marcus said, drawing mock logos on a whiteboard. Has a nice ring to it. You're insane, I laughed. We can't start an agency. Why not? You've got the client relationships. I've got the creative chops. We've got 6 years of watching how not to run a business. It was a fantasy. A beautiful, impossible fantasy that made more sense every time we talked about it. For 2 weeks, I lived in this weird limbo. Days at Emberline pretending everything was normal. Evenings with Marcus planning an escape that felt both thrilling and terrifying. I was careful. Used my personal phone for calls, scheduled interviews during lunch breaks, never left Synapse paperwork where anyone could see it. But corporate buildings have eyes everywhere. Tuesday morning, 9:04 a.m. I remember the exact time because I was checking my phone when Claire's assistant appeared beside my desk. Ms. Hensley wants to see you. Conference room B now. Something in her voice made my stomach drop. Conference room B was where they fired people. Claire was waiting with HR and some guy from security I didn't recognize. The whole setup screamed termination. Jenna, please sit down. I sat. My hands were surprisingly steady. We're disappointed to learn about your recent extracurricular activities. She slid a printed email across the table. My interview confirmation with Synapse Collective. My blood turned to ice. Someone had been monitoring my work email. Someone had been watching. This company has invested considerable time and resources in your development, Claire continued. And this is how you repay that investment. By interviewing with the competitors during sick days. Claire, I can explain. There's nothing to explain. We expect loyalty from our employees. You clearly don't value that. The security guard stepped forward. This was really happening. Your access has been revoked. Please gather your personal items. Security will escort you out. 6 years. 6 years of my life. And I was being walked out like a criminal. In front of everyone. Marcus caught my eye as I packed my desk. His face was pure fury, but he couldn't do anything. Not without making things worse for himself. I grabbed my coffee mug, my plant, and a photo of my family. Everything else could stay. It all belonged to Emberline anyway, apparently. The walk to the elevator felt like a death march. Every coworker I passed either stared or looked away. No one said goodbye. No one asked what happened. The elevator doors closed, and I was free. I should have cried. I should have screamed. Instead, I felt this weird calm, like I'd been holding my breath for 6 years and could finally exhale. Security walked me to my car, professional to the end. I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes, engine running, not sure where to go. Home felt too empty. A coffee shop felt too public. Then my phone buzzed, unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Ether Biotech's office. The text was short. If you're free tomorrow, I'd like to offer something. Nina Shore. I stared at that message for a long time. Sometimes the universe has perfect timing. Sometimes it knows exactly when you're ready for the next chapter, even when you don't. The next day, I met Nina at this little bistro in Capitol Hill. I'd worked with her for over a year, but we'd never sat across from each other without laptops and campaign briefs between us. She looked different outside the corporate environment, less guarded, more human. I heard what happened, she said before I could even order coffee. I'm sorry. News travels fast. Claire called yesterday, wanted to discuss transitional support for the Ether account. Nina's air quotes were sharp. She seemed to think everything would continue seamlessly. I felt my stomach tighten. Of course, Claire would try to maintain the relationship. Of course, she'd pretend nothing had changed. And what did you tell her? Nina smiled. I told her I'd need to think about it. The waiter came by. I ordered coffee I didn't want just to buy time. This conversation was heading somewhere I wasn't prepared for. Jenna, can I be honest with you? I nodded. We're not happy with Emberline's handling of our account. Haven't been for months. What do you mean? Remember that campaign revision last quarter? The one where Claire insisted on changing our messaging to be more mainstream, I remembered. Claire had bulldozed into a client call and completely derailed a strategy I'd spent weeks perfecting. Made us look amateur. That campaign drove our engagement down 12%. Our CMO was furious. My coffee arrived. I wrapped my hands around the mug, processing this. Then there was the budget meeting where she couldn't answer basic questions about our target demographics. Questions you'd briefed her on the day before. Each example hit like a punch. I'd watched Claire fumble client relationships for months, but I'd assumed it was just growing pains. Turns out, our biggest client had been keeping score. The truth is, Jenna, you've been managing this account, not Emberline. You understand our vision. You speak our language. You actually care about our success. Nina, where is this going? She leaned forward. We want to keep working with you. Just you. I don't understand. Freelance contract, direct relationship. You manage our marketing strategy independently, and we'll pay you what you're actually worth. The world tilted slightly. Are you offering me Ether as a client? I'm offering you a chance to build something. No bureaucracy, no credit stealing, just good work fairly compensated. I stared at her. This was insane. This was impossible. This was everything I dreamed about during those late-night conversations with Marcus. There's one condition, Nina continued. You'd need to be independent. We can't work with you if you're still tied to another agency. Well, that's not a problem anymore. I know, that's why I'm making this offer now. She slid a folder across the table. Contract terms. Look them over. If you're interested, we can start next month. I opened the folder. The retainer amount made my breath catch. It was more than my annual salary at Emberline. Nina, this is incredible. But I have to ask, why now? Why not months ago? Because months ago, you were still loyal to Emberline. You wouldn't have left them even for us. We respected that. But now that they've shown their true colors, she shrugged. Sometimes opportunities have perfect timing. I walked out of that lunch feeling like I was floating. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like I had options, real options. That evening, Marcus called. How was lunch with Nina? Life-changing, literally life-changing. Good life-changing or scary life-changing? Both. Marcus, she offered me Ether as an independent client. Silence on the other end. Marcus, you there? Yeah, I'm here. I'm just processing. That's huge, Jenna. There's more. Remember that crazy idea we had Brooks and Patel strategies? Yeah. What if it wasn't crazy? What if it was just the right idea at the wrong time and now it's the right time? Another pause. Marcus, are you seriously considering this? I quit this morning. I nearly dropped the phone. What? After what they did to you, after watching Claire steal your work for months? I couldn't do it anymore. I walked into HR this morning and gave my 2 weeks notice. Marcus, that's insane. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, I did. Some things are more important than a steady paycheck. Like self-respect. Like loyalty to people who actually deserve it. We talked for 3 hours that night. By the end of the call, we had a plan. 3 weeks later, we filed the paperwork for Brooks and Patel strategies. Marcus handled the creative direction and copywriting. I managed strategy and client relations. Our first client was worth more than both our previous salaries combined. Synapse Collective called 2 days after we filed our business license. Jenna, we're still very interested in bringing you aboard, Tom said. We can be flexible on start date, even match any competing offers. Tom, I appreciate that. I really do, but I'm building something bigger. Bigger than Synapse. Bigger than working for someone else's vision. I'm building my own. When I hung up that phone, I felt something I hadn't felt in 6 years at Emberline. I felt free. Word travels fast in Seattle's marketing scene. By the end of our first month, everyone knew about Brooks and Patel strategies. More importantly, everyone knew why we'd left Emberline. I heard through the grapevine that Claire was in full damage control mode. Emergency board meetings, crisis management sessions. The kind of panic that happens when your biggest client walks out the door with your best strategist. Sarah Chen, our old account coordinator, texted me 3 weeks after we launched. Girl, it's chaos here. Claire's lost her mind. What do you mean? She called an all-hands meeting yesterday. Spent 40 minutes explaining why Ether leaving was actually a strategic realignment and how the company is refocusing on core competencies. I could picture it perfectly. Claire in her power suit spinning disaster into opportunity with corporate buzzwords and fake confidence. Nobody's buying it, Sarah continued. We lost 18 million in revenue overnight. You can't spin that. But Claire tried. Oh, she tried everything. First, she blamed HR, poor hiring practices, and inadequate employee retention strategies. Like firing your top performer was somehow HR's fault. Then she blamed Marcus, painted him as a disruptive influence who'd poisoned my loyalty. Never mind that Marcus was the most professional person in that office. Finally, inevitably, she blamed me. I became the ungrateful employee who bit the hand that fed her. The cautionary tale she'd tell new hires about company loyalty. The board wasn't buying any of it. 2 months in, I got a call from Tom Rodriguez at Synapse Collective. Jenna, you'll never guess who just tried to hire us. Tell me. Emberline. They want us to help them win back Ether Biotech. I almost laughed. Seriously? Dead serious. Claire called personally. Offered us a consulting contract to repair the relationship. She seemed to think Ether was just confused about their options. What did you tell her? I told her Ether wasn't confused about anything. They knew exactly what they wanted, and it wasn't Emberline. But Claire didn't give up. She went directly to Nina, offering discounted rates, promises of renewed focus, and a whole presentation about how Emberline had learned from their mistakes. Nina's response was polite but firm. We're very happy with our new agency. That's when the real exodus began. Sarah was the first to quit, then Jake from the design team, then Michelle from project management, all within 6 weeks. 3 mid-level employees walking out doesn't just hurt your workforce. It destroys morale. It sends a message that something is fundamentally broken. Marcus and I had to hire help faster than we'd planned. First, we brought on Lisa Kim, a brilliant account manager who'd been freelancing since COVID. Then, David Martinez, a data analyst who could make spreadsheets tell stories. By Q2, we had 4 employees and 3 clients. Word was spreading that Brooks and Patel Strategies wasn't just another boutique agency. We were the team that understood what clients actually needed. Our second client came through Nina's recommendation, a clean energy startup that needed brand positioning for their Series B funding. Our third was a nonprofit that found us through Jake, who'd left Emberline and was spreading the word about our work. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt focused. This wasn't about beating Emberline. This was about building something sustainable, something that valued people properly. The industry mixer happened in late June, one of those networking events where everyone pretends to care about industry trends while actually just trying to steal clients from each other. I wasn't planning to go, but Lisa convinced me it would be good for business development. "You need to be seen," she said. "Let people know Brooks and Patel is here to stay." The event was at this trendy venue in South Lake Union, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs, the kind of place that charges $20 for artisanal cocktails. I was talking to a potential client about their Q3 campaign when I saw her. Claire across the room holding court with a group of junior marketers. Same power suit, same fake smile, same aura of someone trying too hard to look important. Our eyes met. For a second, neither of us moved. Then she walked over. "Jenna, you look well." "Claire." The conversation around us quieted. People could sense the tension. "I heard about your little venture," she said, voice honey-sweet. "Very ambitious, though I have to say I'm surprised Ether went that direction. Boutique agencies can be so unstable." I sipped my drink, buying time. Every instinct screamed at me to fight back, to list every way she'd failed as a leader, every talented person she'd driven away. Instead, I smiled. "You know, Claire, I've learned something important over the past few months." "What's that? Sometimes loyalty means leaving what doesn't value you." Her smile faltered, just for a second, but I saw it. "Well," she said, recovering quickly, "I'm sure you'll do just fine. The market has room for all kinds of approaches." She walked away without another word. Lisa found me a few minutes later. "Was that Claire Hensley? The one who fired you?" That was her. "She looks miserable." I watched Claire across the room, still trying to charm a group that was clearly losing interest. "Yeah," I said, "she does." For the first time since this whole thing started, I felt something that wasn't anger, or hurt, or fear. I felt sorry for her. Exactly 1 year after getting fired, I was standing backstage at the Pacific Northwest Marketing Innovation Summit, about to give a keynote speech to 300 industry professionals. The irony wasn't lost on me. "You nervous?" Marcus asked, adjusting his tie. He'd come as my +1, though honestly he deserved to be up there with me. Brooks and Patel Strategies was as much his vision as mine. "Terrified," I admitted, but the good kind of terrified. Through the curtain, I could see the audience filing in. Agency heads, marketing directors, freelancers, trying to make it big. A year ago, I would have been sitting in those seats, taking notes on someone else's success story. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jenna Brooks, founder and CEO of Brooks and Patel Strategies. The applause felt surreal. I walked out to the podium, looked out at all those faces, and for a second I forgot everything I'd planned to say. Then I remembered where I'd started. A year ago, I was fired from my job for disloyalty. The room went quiet. I'd worked at the same company for 6 years, brought in $18 million in revenue, never missed a deadline, never disappointed a client. But I interviewed with another agency, and that was considered betrayal. I could see people leaning forward. This wasn't the typical success story they were expecting. Today, I want to talk about a different kind of loyalty. Loyalty to your own growth, loyalty to your values, loyalty to the people who actually see your worth. The next 30 minutes flew by. I talked about building Brooks and Patel from nothing, about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who lift you up instead of tearing you down, about how sometimes the best thing that can happen to your career is getting fired from the wrong job. The standing ovation lasted 2 full minutes. Afterwards, at the networking reception, I was surrounded by people wanting to know more about our agency, our approach, our philosophy. Business cards flew back and forth like confetti. Jenna Brooks. I turned around. A young woman, maybe mid-20s, with the eager look of someone just starting their career. I'm Amanda. I just graduated from UW's marketing program. I heard your speech and I have to ask, how did you know you were ready to take that leap? I smiled, remembering myself at her age. I didn't. Nobody ever feels ready, but sometimes the decision gets made for you and you realize you're stronger than you thought. Were you scared every single day for the first 6 months? But scared and ready aren't opposites. Sometimes scared means you're doing something worth doing. She thanked me and walked away, probably to network with other speakers. But something about that conversation stuck with me all evening. The drive home took me past downtown Seattle through the business district where I'd spent 6 years of my life. Almost without thinking, I took the familiar exit toward Emberline's building. The office complex looked different, smaller somehow. The Emberline digital sign was still there, but it seemed less prominent than I remembered. Maybe they'd downsized the lettering. Maybe my perspective had just changed. I sat in my car for a minute, engine running, looking up at the windows where I used to work. Third-floor corner cubicle view of the parking garage. For 6 years, that had been my world. Now it felt like looking at someone else's life. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Great speech tonight. You inspire people. Never forget that. I smiled, put the car in drive, and headed home. The next morning, Marcus was waiting in our office with coffee and a poorly wrapped gift. What's this for? Open it. Inside was a small wooden plaque with brass lettering, best decision ever, Tuesday, 9:04 a.m. I stared at it, confused. Tuesday, 9:04 a.m. The exact time you got fired, Marcus grinned. I looked it up in my calendar. Best thing that ever happened to both of us. I started laughing. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of commemorating the worst day of my life as the best decision ever was just too perfect. You know what the crazy part is, I said, wiping my eyes. They thought they were ending my career. Turns out they launched it. Marcus raised his coffee mug. To Claire Hensley, the worst boss and best career counselor we ever had. To Claire, I agreed, clinking my mug against his. Later that day, I was reviewing quarterly reports when Lisa knocked on my office door. Jenna, you have a call, someone from Emberline Digital. My stomach dropped. Claire, know someone from HR, says they want to discuss a potential partnership opportunity. I stared at Lisa for a long moment. A year ago, a call from Emberline would have sent me into panic mode. Now it just felt anticlimactic. Take a message, I said. Tell them I'm busy building something bigger. That evening, I stood in our office after everyone had gone home. 9 employees now. 9 talented, creative, passionate people who came to work every day knowing their contributions mattered. Through the window, I could see Seattle's skyline lighting up as darkness fell. Somewhere out there, Claire was probably working late, trying to rebuild what she'd destroyed. Somewhere out there, other people were sitting in cubicles wondering if they'd ever be valued for their real contributions. I picked up Marcus's plaque from my desk. Best decision ever, Tuesday, 9:04 a.m. Maybe it wasn't really a decision at all. Maybe it was just the universe finally pushing me towards something I'd been too scared to reach for on my own. Either way, I was grateful. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened. You just don't know it at the time. Sometimes getting fired isn't the end of your story. Sometimes it's just the beginning. It's almost midnight now. The office is quiet, just the hum of computers and the distant sound of Seattle traffic below. I should have gone home hours ago, but sometimes I like to sit here in the silence and remember how far we've come. My laptop screen glows in the darkness, showing tomorrow's schedule. 3 client calls, a strategy session with the team, and lunch with a potential new hire. Good problems to have. I close the laptop and walk to the window. Downtown Seattle spreads out below me, lights twinkling like scattered stars. Somewhere out there, people are working late shifts, chasing dreams, making hard decisions about their futures. A year and a half ago, I was one of them. Trapped in a job that didn't value me, too scared to leave, too proud to stay quiet about it. Tonight, I'm the CEO of my own company. Tomorrow, I'll wake up excited about work instead of dreading it. Next month, we're expanding to a bigger office space. None of this was part of the plan. Plans are funny that way. Life has its own ideas about where you're supposed to end up. I pick up that plaque from Marcus one more time. Best decision ever. Tuesday, 9:04 a.m. The moment Claire Hensley thought she was ending my career. You know what I've learned? Revenge doesn't always need fire. It doesn't need angry confrontations or elaborate schemes. Sometimes it just takes a door and the courage to walk through it. Claire gave me that door when she fired me. She probably thought she was teaching me a lesson about loyalty. Instead, she taught me about my own strength. I wonder sometimes if she knows what happened after I left. If she knows that Ether Biotech is happier than ever, that 3 more of her employees quit to join us, that her disloyal strategist now runs one of the fastest growing agencies in the Pacific Northwest. Probably not. People like Claire don't usually follow up on the lives they've disrupted. They're too busy creating new disruptions. But that's okay. This was never about her anyway. This was about me finally believing I deserved better. I gather my things and head for the elevator. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, new reasons to be grateful for that Tuesday morning when everything fell apart. In the parking garage, I sit in my car for a moment before starting the engine. The same car I sat in 18 months ago, staring at Nina's text message, wondering if I was brave enough to build something from nothing. Turns out I was braver than I knew. The drive home takes me past that familiar building where Emberline Digital used to shine so brightly. The sign is smaller now, I'm sure of it. Or maybe it's just that my world got bigger. Either way, I don't slow down to look. Some chapters of your life deserve to be read once, and then closed forever. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with gratitude for the lessons they taught you. The biggest lesson. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the universe clearing the path for the best thing. You just have to be brave enough to walk forward when the door opens. And trust me, the door always opens. You just have to be ready to see it. What do you think? Was Jenna right to leave, or should loyalty have kept her there? Have you ever had a boss who took credit for your work? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story of workplace revenge and redemption, hit that subscribe button for more real-life drama that'll keep you hooked. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.